Poverty and consistent economic insecurity rob children of mental bandwidth. Mullinauten and Shafir wrote about the bandwidth tax of poverty. Reflecting on their work, Ryan Bell talked about how poverty kills wonder. He asserted, "Wonder is the fire beneath curiosity, driving humanity to discovery." If poor children do not experience wonder, what will happen to their learning? Shafir, in a conversation with Bell, emphasized that nothing in his findings suggests that the poor are any less emotionally awake or that there is anything mentally different or fundamentally deficient about them. Bell pointed out, "Wonder is an experience that happens to an available mind. That is a perfect description of the problem with the bandwidth depletion that results from poverty. Parts of children's minds are not available for wonder and for learning." Mathewson's research tells us that people in poverty are constantly struggling to make ends meet and often bracing themselves against class bias that adds extra strain or even trauma to their daily lives. Mathewson continues, saying, "The science is clear. When brain capacity is used up on these worries and fears, there simply is not as much bandwidth for other things." Fortunately, these damaged parts of the brain are ones that are particularly plastic and can be strengthened and improved well into adulthood. What is the extent of child poverty in the United States? According to the National Center for Children in Poverty, in 2016, of 72.4 million children under the age of 18, 41% lived in low-income families. Of those, 22% were near poor, considered between 100% and 200% of the federal poverty threshold, FPT, and 19% were poor, under 100% of the FPT. Research indicates that an income of 200% of the FPT is necessary to meet basic human needs. According to the NCCP, a Columbia University research center, poverty is the single biggest threat to children's healthy development. Children are much more likely to be poor than people in other age groups. Compared to the 41% of children who are poor or near poor, 29% of people between 19 and 64 and 28% of people 65 or over are in these categories. Except for Asians as a group, non-white children are far more likely to live in low-income families than white children. The rate for white and Asian children was 28% in 2016, whereas the comparable rates for Black, American Indian, and Hispanic children were 61%, 60%, and 59%, respectively. The data on poverty among Asian groups can be very misleading. 12.3% of Asians live below the FPT, with wide variation among different national origin groups. At the low end, fewer than 7% of Filipino Americans live in poverty, whereas 39% of Burmese Americans live in poverty.